What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, the Supreme B-Man, and I am back, finally, from a long hiatus. Sorry about that, guys, first off. I had a lot of real-life stuff going on, a lot of changes in my schedule and whatnot. Not really moving up in the world, just kind of, different positions at work and stuff like that. Real-life stuff, boring stuff that you guys probably don't need to hear about. You probably don't even care, so why does it matter? What you're here to listen to is my voice talking about a certain game that I tell you. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I told you, and I was being brutally honest when I said it first, that Marvel Infinite was not going to do well. I told you that Marvel Infinite was missing a lot of the things, and a lot of things that it should have had from the get-go, and that on top of that the game just didn't look appealing. But from what I've been hearing in the reviews, a lot of people are praising its gameplay. A lot of people are still praising the gameplay and hoping that just the gameplay alone is gonna make people want to buy this game. But that is not the case. Functions alone are not going to save this game. Gameplay alone is not going to save this game. Sure, it may get a few points on the review scale, but overall, it's still not a very well put together game. It feels rushed, just like every Capcom fighting game. They are always set themselves a schedule, and they are pushed to the high horse to try to meet deadlines. The problem is, when they try to do that, they rush a lot of things, and they, basically grabbed old stuff, old tools and old references and whatnot from Marvel 3, and decided to just import them and shine them up with a new, different, realistic, different type of caricature look for a lot of the characters. As you can see, if you look from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to Infinite, you can clearly tell that the artistic style is completely different. I've said this once, I honestly like the Ultimate Marvel 3 graphics over, say, the Infinite graphics, because the thing is that a lot of these characters are cartoony in some ways. A lot of characters kind of come off that anime look aesthetic, and honestly, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had that comic book feel, that cartoony anime artistic, colorful style that Infinite doesn't have. It does have some pop here and there when it comes to certain characters. Some characters, one in particular, Chun-Li, which is a character that a lot of people, criticized a lot because of her face. They fixed it, but it feels like not just her, but like Mega Man, Zero, Dr. Light, the Hulk looks alright. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, looks pretty good. But as for some of the other characters like Captain America, Spider-Man, Thor, Chris looks okay. Chris Redfield actually looks alright. But other characters just don't look appealing at all. They don't. They look really good in certain lighting, but then later on, once there is light put on them, rather than them hiding their faces under shadow, you can clearly see that there were a lot of mistakes that were made. And it's kind of the same when coming off from Street Fighter V with, messed up face Ken and a few other characters that, their faces look too goofy, or they went too much detail, when, little is more. You know what I mean? Little is more. I understand that in this game that they were going for more if I can say it right, theatrical look for it. They were going for like a movie cinematic look. But the thing is, when you do that, you gotta go balls to the wall if you're gonna do that. I mean, comparing this to, say, Injustice 2. Injustice 2 looks like a fully fledged movie. NetherRealm Studios put a lot of work in the face recognition. Their 3D artists are killing it. You know what I mean? And no offense to the people who worked on this game, but NetherRealm Studios knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? When it comes to those facial features and stuff like that for a lot of the characters, when they talk or when they're having a conversation or when they're moving, they look fluent. They flow very well all throughout the game and through the environment and whatnot. As for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, though, a lot of the characters, they do stand out, but they stand out just a little too much. You know what I mean? A character like Mega Man standing next to Iron Man, it just kind of comes off a little weird and really cartoony. If anything, they should have just stuck with the same stuff that they had in Ultimate Marvel 3, considering the fact that a lot of the stuff from Marvel 3 is in this game anyway, so why not? But going into some of the okay things, the good stuff, mainly the gameplay, a lot of people are saying that the Infinity Stones are alright, but there's a double-edged sword with that, because there's only certain Infinity Stones that are being used and being abused and broken through other means. You know what I mean? Because obviously pro players or just players in general are going to abuse those Infinity Stones, and in some ways or another, I just feel like the Infinity Stones don't make a lot of sense to me sometimes. Depending on what they're doing, because they're constantly using them. They're not using them, to like in a degree. And hearing the characters just constantly screaming, Soul Stone, Reality Stone, over and over again. If they were going to go with, say, Marvel superheroes, they should have had the announcer say it. You know what I mean? If anything. The announcer should be the one screaming Soul Gem, you know what I mean, or something like that. That would have been actually pretty cool, in my opinion. But having to sit there and listen to the characters scream out Soul Stone, Reality Stone, Power Stone, and all this other stuff, it's just it's weird, But it's kind of annoying, but that's just the way the game is. That's just how it functions and how it rolls. But other than that, I mean, honestly, those are like the only two things that a lot of people tend to keep pointing out, is that the gameplay is good, and the Infinity Stones are actually pretty good, and that's about it. Other than that, the rest of the game just kind of just falls flat. The story mode, I don't own the game. I will point that out. I will throw that out there, that I don't own the game. I was going to pre-order the game. I was going to play the game and do all that other stuff with it. But honestly, it just wasn't, in my opinion, worth it. So I didn't want to get the game knowing all of the problems that this game was obviously going to have, because, it was kind of foreshadowing of what previous game that I had recently spent a butt ton of money on. And that game is Street Fighter Cross Tekken. And I was going to do a video comparing Street Fighter Cross Tekken to this game, even though you can clearly say, and you cannot deny, that Street Fighter Cross Tekken and Marvel Infinite are running into the same problems. They both have gym systems. They both have, both of them are versus games from the Capcom universe and jumping into another universe, be it, Tekken or Marvel. And on top of that, the gameplay was solid. It was pretty good, but it was a lot confusing. And a lot of people complained about the gym system in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but here in Marvel Infinite, apparently everybody's completely fine with it. Although, still, there are a lot of complaints about this game. I'm not kidding you. But I spent a lot of money on Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I bought an arcade stick, I bought a pro controller, I bought the special edition to the game that came with this little arcade penny jar. I got a guidebook on how to play the game, how to play the characters, and all that other stuff. And then, finding out a lot of the problems, the DLC stuff, the Capcom not willing to update the game, all that stuff. was the downfall of Street Fighter Cross Tekken. And slowly and surely, Marvel Infinite is going to fall into the same problem. And it's annoying. And, I hate to hear that. And I want Capcom to succeed in making good games. Problem is, they're not making good games. They're making games that are kind of like half full. You know what I mean? Like, as I said before, and I've gone into a debate with other commenters on my other videos, that the characters, first off, the roster in this game, and I've talked about that over and over again. I've done top 10 lists. Those links are in the description. I've done top 10 lists about the characters that I would like to see in the game, and obviously I gave it to you guys to comment on those and to tell me what characters y'all would like. But at the end of it all, none of those characters that everybody wanted, or even I wanted, wasn't going to get in the game. Mainly because, Capcom didn't want to go above and beyond to grab characters from back in the old days of Marvel 2, or characters that they had in Marvel 3, and threw them in the background. You know what I mean? My problem is, I understand that there are characters that, you don't want to run into a PR move, like characters like Felicia. Obviously, she's this cat lady who is barely clothed, and they want to, basically, with them working with Marvel / Disney, they gotta be appealing to the kids, and that's the thing. Even though majority of their fan base is mostly teenagers up to adults, from at least 13 and up. So therefore, they're trying to cater to also little kids as well, and trying to stay PG, without going too much. It's rated teen. I think the game is rated T for teen, but still, there's they don't go above and beyond to kind of play around with that teen rating. Characters like Jada, who came from Darkstalkers, clearly he does not play nothing like he does in this game in the actual Darkstalker games, because there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of different stuff, SMM stuff in Darkstalkers. There's a lot of that going on in those types of fighting games, and so they had to water down Jada just so they can put him in the game. And I understand if that was the case, but if you were going to do that for Jada, then why not do that for other characters like Dimitri or Donovan or BB Hood, other characters from the Darkstalker franchise that I think could have been in this game, and probably more than likely should have been in this game, because I don't think Arthur should have been in this game. I'm sorry to say it, I don't mean no offense to the character. I know he's a big deal in Capcom in some way, I don't know how, but Arthur does not fit in this game at all. I'm fine with X, I'm fine with Zero, I'm fine with Dr. Light, I'm fine with the Mega Man characters. I'm glad that the Mega Man characters made a comeback. But characters like Arthur, Spencer, Chris Redfield, I've said this before, those characters did not need to be in this game. They did not need to be in this game. I'm fine with Ryu, Chun-Li, Dante, Morgan. I'm fine with those characters being in the game. I don't think Mike Haggart should have been in this game, because he doesn't really play a huge role in the story mode at all. You could have easily have grabbed Hugo or Alex from Street Fighter 5, or Street Fighter Third Strike. You could have grabbed him. You could have got Zangief. You could have got any character from the Capcom universe that is similar to Mike Haggard. You know what I mean? He's like an old relic at this point. If you want him in the game, then put him as a background character, because pretty much in most of these fighting games, there's characters that you see that aren't in the game. Like, there's a poster of Iron Fist. He's not in the game, even though he was in Marvel 3. But I guess because of his popularity from the Iron Fist TV show, they didn't want to put him in here. But I think that's kind of lame, and that's just an excuse for them to just not put a very fan favorite character from the previous game, because I actually like Iron Fist. and I would have liked it if Luke Cage was in this game. And not just the Capcom side, but the Marvel side too. They kind of held back from going above and beyond with their character roster without featuring majority of the actual Avengers. You know, if you're going to go Avengers, then go full Avengers. Go on ahead and put Black Widow. Put in Falcon, which, let me tell you something. They need somebody of color in this game. You know, honestly, let's be real. I'm not trying to say anything, but, you know, Falcon could have been in this game. Blade could have been in this game. There's plenty of characters that I think could have fit. Vision should have been in this game. Scarlet Witch should have been in this game. And then Loki, you turned down Loki. Out of all the characters, you turned down Loki. And then, you know, you got this Thor Ragnarok movie coming out. You could have had Valkyrie. Hela is in the story mode. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the full story mode of Marvel Infinite, which you probably at this point, you probably should by now probably have seen it. So, but Hela could have been playable or anything like that, but it's ridiculous. And then the characters that they do have set up for DLC is already in the game. Sigma has been featured in the story mode, in most of the story mode trailers before Marvel Infinite came out. He has been hyped up to the moon, son, and everybody been wanting to play Sigma. You would have thought that they had Sigma ready and playable by the time this game came out, but instead they spent so much time on the story mode. I feel like that they could have cut the story mode in half. They could have worked with what they could work with, had a actual writer that could write an actual decent script for the game, for the story mode, and make it important and kind of like answer some of the questions that a lot of people had into why it's like just another Marvel 3 clone. You know what I mean? Maybe certain characters are locked away. Maybe certain characters have disappeared. Maybe certain characters just didn't want to join in on the fun. Who knows? It's those kind of questions that we all would have liked to have known, along with all the madness and craziness of the Infinity Stones. But like I said, this game just comes off too cartoony. But back into the DLC stuff. The DLC characters: Sigma, Black Panther, Monster Hunter, and let me think here. Who else? Venom is in the game. The symbiote, not Venom per se, but there are hints of Venom in the game. And so Venom isn't in the game yet. Although I will give it a kind of a, you know, okay, because I understand Venom wouldn't have been ready for the game, and people have already been speculating that Venom was going to be in the game at some point in time, which is fine and it's okay, but it would have been even better had they had him ready to go by the time the launch happened, and therefore they didn't put him in. Not, at least not yet. And all the DLC characters are in the story mode. They're looking right at you. They're like, I wish you guys could play us, but you know, Capcom said no. You gotta pay for it. So it's ridiculous. And each character is $5 each. So you're adding $30, because there's going to be a grand total of 6 new characters. At least that's what everybody's speculating. And each one of those characters are $5 a pop. Are you serious? Are you serious? $5 a pop. $30 added to the already $60 range, or the $80 range, which I think was just the standard edition with all the DLC stuff. No, the standard is the $60 one, and then there's like the Pro edition, I guess. I don't know if they had one or not. That was probably about $80 with all the DLC stuff, and then of course the big collector's edition, which was I think $200. So you're adding another extra $30. Nobody wants to spend even more money on an unfinished game. Seriously, Capcom? Seriously? I'm just saying, folks, I don't mean to beat down on Capcom. I promise you, I don't hate Capcom. I know each of my little videos and my little discussions come off as if I just hate Capcom. I don't hate them. I just want them to make good fighting games. If they can just stop playing around with these DLC practices, listen to their fan base, their actual fan base, not just the pros. Their pros are probably going to be making them money. Whatever money that they didn't make out of Infinite, they're probably going to make it out of the esports, more than likely, because the pros are obviously going to shoot that game and skyrocket it to the moon, and people are going to be like, ooh, maybe I should give this game another shot, you know what I mean? And, who knows? Because even right now, Capcom has to come out with a Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which it basically tells you they had to go desperate, for real. They were in the hole. And so, because of the same stuff that they did in this game, they did in Street Fighter V. And I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is going to happen. It is going to happen. And I know a lot of, players, a lot of gamers are going to be upset about that because they spent gobbledygooks of money for somebody else to just pay $40 for all the DLC and all the trimmings and everything. And that's just going to piss off your fan base even more, and it's not going to put you in cool runnings. It's just going to put you even deeper in the hole. And I watched a video of Maximilian talking about, if we start beating down Capcom in their wallets, they're going, will they start making good games? Well, if that happens, they may not make any games. And that basically, boils down to what he was talking about. If we do hit them in the pockets, and if we don't buy their games, they're not going to make any more fighting games. They may not make any more fighting games for another couple of years or so. It took forever to get them to make Marvel 3, and they were spending a lot of time on Street Fighter 4 even. And to even get a sequel to Street Fighter 4 after all the special arcade editions and whatnot that game came out with, it just seemed like forever before we actually got to Street Fighter 5. And the same thing goes for Marvel Infinite. And so we might not get any more fighting games if Capcom tanks. But at the same time, I don't want to spend my money on a game that isn't finished. That's just my thing. I'm tired of buying a game and having to pay extra for DLC and all this micromanaging crap. What happened to when you played a fighting game and you can unlock the characters within the game just by playing the game alone? You know what I mean? What happened to that? I miss the old days of, playing Tekken, you know what I mean? And playing through Kyuza, Hachi Jin, or Yoshimitsu and all these other characters, and playing through their story modes or arcade modes and unlocking characters. That's what was so fun and so cool. It forced me to play characters that I was not comfortable with. It forced me to play with characters that I didn't like, and in order to unlock newer and much better characters that I may or may not like. You know what I mean? Just to fill out the roster. What happened to that? I think that's what a lot of these companies need to go back to doing. I understand they need to make their money. I understand that DLC is what gives them a little extra in their wallets. I get that. They got to do what they got to do to keep the lights on. But let's be honest. If you're going to do that, do that. But do that after you're done finishing with the game all entirely. If Infinite had came out sometime in 2018, it would be a much better game, because then they would have had all the DLC stuff ready by launch. A lot of people would have had a lot of money saved up, and the game would have had much better, backing, because I think the trailers and stuff were pretty piss poor. Let's be honest, okay? Street Fighter Cross Tekken had better trailers than Marvel Infinite did, and you can go back and go look at a lot of those Street Fighter Cross Tekken trailers. That's what got me into that game, that made me want to play that game. And I still play that game. I still play that game till this day. And I think that's a much better game than Infinite, honestly, just truthfully. Story-wise, it's a little wonky here and there, but it's much better than Infinite. Heck, this Street Fighter V story is much better than Infinite, and that's a Street Fighter game. I expect that from a Street Fighter game. From a Marvel game, you expect there was a little bit more better writing, better characters, better this, better that. You were expecting a whole lot, and I think that's what a lot of us made the mistake of doing, is overhyping this game when we knew that this game was going to fail the moment it hit the shelves. And so that's pretty much my opinion about what I've seen from the story mode and from videos on YouTube. But you know, I'm sorry if I'm hurting your feelings, or if I'm hitting a nerve, or I'm triggering you in some way, but that's my honest opinion. You cannot deny that that is the truth. Okay, I understand that they're coming out with more content down the road, that they're going to come out with much better content next year, but the thing about it is, had they had some of that content now, they probably would not be in the hole that they're in at this moment in time. And a friend of mine on Facebook had asked his people, and you know, and I chimed in on it as well. Is it me? This is him saying this quote. Is it me, or is Marvel Infinite boring? And you know how many people commented on that one little statement on Facebook. It was like just gobs of people. And guess what I said? I'm putting it on the screen right now. I put the picture of Goku saying, nah, Infinite, and saying, yeah, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, because that's a game that Marvel Infinite needs to be worrying about. It's not Injustice. It's Dragon Ball, son. Dragon Ball. The 7 Dragon Balls are coming for you, Infinite, and you best be ready for it, because the moment that game drops, everybody's going to be trading in Marvel Infinite. I bet you. You know, unless they come out with Venom, they come out with Captain Commando, or come out with some more Darkstalkers, or they put in the Inhumans or the Defenders. Until then, they're slowly and surely they're walking on a very, very, very thin line. It's almost like that ninja line that cuts throats. That's what they're walking on, that very thin line there. Because the moment that Dragon Ball Fighter Z drops, you know, it's going to be OV for Infinite. And you know, that's just my opinion. Those are my opinions about the game entirely. I would love to hear what you got to say. And honestly, you know, I'm looking forward to Dragon Ball Fighter Z more than I'm looking forward to Infinite. Infinite had me, but then it dropped me and left me hanging. You know what I mean? And so that's my disappointment in Capcom right now. That's how I feel about them. I'm sorry that that's the way it is, and that's just the way the business is. If that's the way the business is, then I don't want to have no business being in it. You know what I mean? And so Capcom, you need to pick up the slack and get to work. You know what I mean? You need to figure out something, because your fan base is dwindling slowly and surely. And you know, a lot of people are more than likely probably going to turn back to Street Fighter V, or go back to Marvel Ultimate 3 rather than playing this game. Let's just be honest, okay? And so I'll leave it up to you guys. What is your opinions about Marvel Infinite? Did you buy the game? Were you satisfied with the game? And are you looking to buying a lot of the DLC stuff that is in a game but not available at the moment in time? What other fighting games do you think outclass this game? You know what I mean? Whether it be Injustice 2, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, you know, even you know, Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear, you know, those type of games. Let me know in the comments below what's your opinions and whatnot. If you happen to like this video, I would highly appreciate it if you do. And if you want more videos like this, please subscribe at the bottom. And I have a lot more videos. I have gameplays, I have other discussions, I have my top 10 list, which will be in the links in the description if you want to check those out, and my other opinions about the game. And I'll leave it at that. Until next time, guys, it's your boy the Supreme B-Man, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.